Two balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. This is one back. Welcome on, Chris Taylor.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined by a couple writers from DodgerBlue.com, Scott Geirman, Blake Williams joining me today. And we've got a rumor on our hands, boys. Mitch Haniger, connected to the Dodgers and Angels, among other teams. 31-year-old outfielder, turns 32 next month, has spent the past 6 years with Seattle. Scott, I'll come to you first. This is a guy you've mentioned before. You like the interest from the Dodgers? Would you be excited about locking Haniger in for a year or two?
Sure. I mean, it kind of, if they shift to Mitch Haniger, it kind of feels like other options they had, they kind of missed on, or they're just jumping at a different avenue. So for me, I'd be pleased if there are peripheral moves to, as a result, to bring in Haniger. But I really do like what he brings to the table. I do.
Looking at his numbers for me, 246 batting average, 308 on base, 429 with 11 home runs in just 57 games last season. So the home run rate is nice. The rest of it, not that great. He did have 39 home runs in 2021 and OPS over 800. So this is a guy that offensively seems to be above average, Blake, when I look at it. He hits lefties well, 889 OPS in 2018, 2019, and 2021. That was down to 764 last year. So again, last year seems to be a dip. Above average, slightly above average against righties. But injuries are one of the issues. He missed 100 games in 2019. He missed all of 2020, missed 100 games in 2022. Defensively, Blake, I see right field the past two seasons pretty muddy there. So, positive outs above average this year, negative outs above average last year. UZR negative both seasons. Defensive run saves, -3 in 2021. +3 in 2022. So I look at all this, Blake, and I'm pretty uninspired by a guy like Haniger. I feel like you could find this type of production from inside the system or already on the roster. Am I off on that?
Yeah, I think that's kind of off. He's a really solid player. He's not anything special, but a year ago he had 39 homers, and he's had a long career of being a really good hitter. So I don't think they necessarily have that in their system. You bring him in, you play him in left field, and I think he's a really solid player there. Now, if he's like your replacement for Trey Turner, that's going to be a huge disappointment. But if you're bringing him in with, say, Xander Bogaerts or Dansby or one of the top shortstops, I think Haniger would be a really good addition to the team.
Yeah, Blake, I'll stay with you. Justin Lorber and I had a conversation on Sunday talking about kind of the Dodgers' three areas of need: shortstop, outfield, and starting pitching. And feeling like one of those three, they might not have the resources if they decide to stay under the tax threshold. They might not have the resources to do all three. It feels like if you go after a guy like Haniger, you're sort of punting on the outfield and dedicating resources to shortstop and starting pitching. Do you feel like that's the right approach for the Dodgers?
Yeah, but I still wouldn't say it's punting the outfield position if you get Haniger. Like, he is a really solid player. He's not going to be a superstar, but I would be comfortable playing him in left field for 150 games or whatever he gives. I know he has the injury history, but they have some depth, and if you have him as your main starter, like, you're in a good spot.
What do you say, Scott?
Yeah, I agree with Blake without a doubt. So, this past season was really murky for him. There's kind of some questions. We call this season as a bit of an outlier for him. I'd really like to take a sample size from 21 as the baseline for Mitch Haniger. I know 39 homers, tough to replicate, but I'd like to go from there as far as his success versus lefties. And that's something the Dodgers need. They need a guy with power. They need someone to have a good on base percentage versus lefties. And that's what he brings. He had a 920 OPS in 2021 versus left-handed pitching. I think from the right-handed against righties, they have enough power to withstand that. But I think they do need some more pop from the right-handed side against left-handed pitching. And that's really what he brings. And he won't cost too much. I think Mitch Haniger, just like Blake said, if they pencil him in every day, I wouldn't mind it. But again, it signals that they've shifted resources elsewhere, and they've probably gone away from the top names in the outfield market, like Aaron Judge.
Yeah. MLB Trade Rumors has the projection at 3 years and $39 million for Haniger. Scott, I sort of chuckled because I think it's one of these guys where you've got to choose what you believe. You're like, hey, I choose to believe 2021 is the real Mitch Haniger, 39 home runs, which is fine. It's a reasonable take. But you also, 2022 was a down year, and yet another year, as I said, this is a guy who's missed 100 games in 3 of the last 4 or 5 seasons. at different times. And so I'll just end it here. 3 years, $39 million. Again, that's MLB Trade Rumors. They've got him as the number 20 free agent in this year's class. Scott, I'll start with you. 3 years, $39 million. Is that a number you're comfortable with?
I think that's actually that's a bargain, honestly. I think that's a really good contract, like about 3 years, 39 million, 13 million AAV, roughly around there. I would, sign me up. Absolutely. That bridges you a gap. That gives you some time. You put him on the bookends, gives him some time at DH, left field, wherever. I think that's really great. Then you can kind of focus on center field. I like that a bunch.
Blake?
I think they're going to struggle giving him a third year just because of the injury history, and I feel like most teams would. AAV, I'm fine with that. 13 million for a player like him isn't that much. I'm just not sure any team's going to give him the third year, and especially not the Dodgers.
Yeah, so you'd be good with 2 years would you be good with like 2 years, $30 million with the third year player option for 13 mil or something or team option, excuse me?
Yeah, I would, and I think the Dodgers would prefer that too. They like the higher AAVs for shorter terms.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, let us know what you think in the comments below. Again, Mitch Haniger, linked to the Dodgers and Angels, among other teams, would solve a need in the outfield. The Dodgers have a lot of questions in center field and left field, depending on what you believe about some of the younger guys, depending on what you believe about Chris Taylor and Trace Thompson, those types. But Mitch Haniger is a name that has surfaced. Again, MLB Trade Rumors projecting a 3-year, $39 million contract for him, the number 20 free agent in baseball. Let us know what you think in the comments below. That's Scott. That's Blake. My name is Jeff. As always, we appreciate you joining us here on Dodger Heads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. Enjoy the rest of your day. And, of course, go Dodgers.